In this podcast, I'm going to continue to discuss the story structure plot diagram, which I have started off in the last episode. Before I get into the meat of the show, I'm going to have a couple of announcements. First of all, you can go to my website. I have recently updated with a new look. Now, I'm not saying it's going to stay that way. I'm kind of testing some things out. But however, I have added a couple of pages that you can go check out. One, you can check out my bookstore. You can go purchase the latest books that I have published myself, and also you can check out the podcast section. Now, saying that, I'm going to continue with this session. In the last podcast, I had discussed the story structure plot diagram with Act One. I had discussed a lot of things with the story structure elements and stuff like that. And what I'm going to do is that if you want to know what I talked about, you can always check it out by going back to the videos. We're going back to episode 5 and view that and get caught up for this session here. So saying that, so let me go ahead and begin and pull up this story structure diagram, and we can get into the meat of discussing Act Two. All right. So now that I put up this story structure plot diagram, like Act One, I kind of shaded off the areas that I want you to focus on, and as you can see, Act Two is highlighted. Now, there are two things I want you to focus on, of course, which is the midpoint crisis and the second turning point. I'm going to explain to you what those two are. The second, excuse me, the midpoint crisis is pretty much the point of the story where it disrupts the character's progress. For example, say that everything goes well for this Joseph, which is the character of the story I presented in the last podcast. Joseph, becomes successful in what he does, and the progress is going good for him. And all of a sudden, he finds out that his wife is pregnant by his brother who stole his ex-wife. So at this point, Joseph's plan is disrupted because now he has a roadblock that prevents him or can prevent him from getting his wife back. Now, as far as for the second turning point, it's just like the first turning point. It is a point of the story that Joseph has to make a decision. But at this point, Joseph makes a decision whether he's going to continue with his plan or to deviate from his plan. I'll give you an example. Now that in one instance that I didn't explain before, that when Joseph found out that his wife was pregnant by Alberto, well, excuse me, his ex-wife, he complains to Michiko, and he kind of asks her what he's going to do to get her back. Now, Michiko gets upset because she kind of like helps him out with his YouTube fame, and she just could not believe that his wife, he still loves his wife after all that she has done to him. So what she does is like she confesses her love for him, but however she decides to not be around with him no more because she cannot handle him seeing him be in love with a woman that does not love him. So when Michiko gets away from him, Joseph is now left with a decision. After thinking about his ex-wife and thinking about what Michiko uh, love confession. So at that point, Joseph must make a decision. So when Joseph does decide to make a decision, it will start the second turning point. And basically what the second turning point is basically like it's like another setting in motion the story, which which also sets for the third act. So saying that, um, now, I hope I add some clarity on that. But if not, then I most definitely will try. If you email me, or you can also go online and check out Midpoint Crisis and Second Turning Point. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pull up an outline that I have recently done, so you can get an idea how you should map out your story. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to discuss a little bit about what a process or an idea that people should really consider when they before they start writing any story. One is consists of brainstorming. Which consists of basically getting your story out of your head onto paper. Now, in this process, people don't, of course, we all understand that um, in this process here, you got to, whatever you got, whatever ideas, whatever scenes you got floating in your head, get it out your head, scribble it on some paper, what have you. Now, this is like a messy process, but it's an important process that you must do. Now, with the outline, I pretty much um kind of gave you a quick rundown what Act Two looks like in the last part of this podcast. So saying that, um, it might be a little bit different. I just went off the top of my head from when from the outline I wrote down. So if it looks different, that's fine. Remember, when you're writing, your script is going to change, and it's going to change, um, and it's going to change. And the reason why I say that over and over is because that revisions it will be made until you reach the final draft. Now, your script will change and can change during production. It depends on the director or depends on the actor. A lot of times, scripts are ad lib. As far as like or paraphrase, and the reason why is that some people do that to give it a more natural feel. So basically, what I have here is the second, excuse me, the outline to the second act. And as you can see, I may not, quote everything in the first part to what is actually on the outline here. So what I have planned on doing was introducing a new character who is a supporting character to help Joseph along his journey. And his love interest, Michiko, introduces him to a famous YouTuber who goes by the name of Jack Scurvy. Now I know what you're thinking. Jack Scurvy. What type of name is that? But hey, I was writing off the top of my head, trying to get all the ideas out on paper, so I came up with Jack Scurvy, so I don't know. But continuing what I was talking about, that Michiko introduces him to Jack Scurvy, um, and she, along with Jack Scurvy, helps Joseph along his journey into getting his work out in the world. Michiko does storyboards for his stories. Jack Scurvy is the one who will actually help him film and make them come to life on YouTube. So as you can see in the outline here, um, I pretty much added some things that will help me along my journey when writing the second part to the screenplay or Act Two. Uh, when I write an outline, I kind of like add some things in there to give me an idea what I want to do for the entire, no, well, not for the entire script, but for certain parts. Like for example, in the first part, I have written down I wanted to do a 3 minute montage, as you can see here, and in the second part, which is another part of the story that I wanted to make sure that I wanted to add, some type of romance between Michiko and Joseph. Now, also what it helps me to do is regulate how much romance, as far as like is for example, is Joseph is even paying attention to Michiko's advancements and stuff like that. I probably will be writing that in the second draft, because even though it's not there, I still would like to like flush it out even more. Now in the third part, you can see that there's I have labeled it as midpoint crisis, and the reason why I did that because I wanted to make sure that I can get that part in there, as you will see the story plot dialogue. And it also serves as a roadmap how I want to flesh that out. Also, now that I know this is a midpoint crisis, how I'm going to write it, who's involved in the midpoint crisis, and so forth. And not only that, I kind of added like two a double whammer to that. Excuse me, I added a double whammy to the part as far as that one part of the midpoint crisis that Joseph finds out that Valencia is pregnant with Alberto's kid, and another part I added was I wanted Michiko to be upset that he still is in love with the woman that has left him, and not only that, Michiko is the one that loves him, who has helped him to become successful. Which, even though it's not in the outline, but I wanted to put that there. So when I do that, when I do another draft, which is going to be in there. All right. So now that I have, I 3, 2, 1. All right. So now that I have shown you an outline of what possibly what Act Two can look like, I'm going to end the podcast here. Um, what I would encourage you to do is go online, research some outlines, research some writing techniques on how to do a screenplay, and I'm quite sure you'll find a lot of information. I would try to there are some books I would like for you to look at. Also, it will probably be in the next podcast about when I finish up the Act Three part. So, saying that, um, don't forget to visit my website, therobinsmedia.com. I have made some updates and some changes, and I am pretty excited about them. First, I have, like I said before, I had added a store, an actual bookstore. Go check that out. I will soon will have some T-shirts for sale online. Keep a lookout for the link on that. In addition to that, also go to my Facebook page and keep visiting my YouTube channel for some updates and constant videos that will be uploaded soon enough. So again, I say take care. God bless.